guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay Stone, aka the grandmother, and it's early Tuesday morning. Well, not super early for me, but it's about a quarter to seven. And I saw where Chantrice Holloman posted something about her book signing. And I felt like her challenge is something that was very valuable for me to share insight with the entire community. So, first and foremost, if you are a subject matter expert, and that means most of you in this group, coach, consultant, expert, any of that, if you are a subject matter expert, then you should have a book, right? I don't care what type of expertise is, you should have a book. All right. So that's the first and foremost thing. Now, let's talk about selling the book. There are a few ways that you can sell your book. Number one, you can simply get the book on Amazon to sell it. You can get the book on Amazon to sell it. Um, there, and then, of course, with Amazon, you can sell it as a physical book or you can sell it as a digital book. So that's one way to get it out. The other way is to directly sell it yourself. Um, which means people go to a website or they click a link, they buy the book, and you ship it out to them. And then, and by the way, Amazon, when it's an Amazon book, Amazon, you have to have the book someplace for Amazon to do the fulfillment or for somebody to do the fulfillment from Amazon. And then you can do the order and fulfillment yourself, which was number two. And then, of course, with number three, definitely sell it at live events. But so that was the dilemma that Chantrice had that I want to talk about, selling an event book at live events. So here's a few ways that occurs. You can be a speaker at an event, and they can allow you to set up a table and have a book. Or you can be a vendor only, where you actually have the book set up. I mean, a table set up for the book. Let's talk about the either or, whether you're a speaker and you get a table or you're just simply a vendor. The first thing that needs to happen, let's talk about any time that you sell a book, you always need a support person with you. Okay, because what's going to happen is people want to, you got to autograph books, you got to sign books, but there's also probably a line of people that is going to form to get their book signed, to take pictures with you, to ask questions, to speak to you and say, hey, this is, how your book changed my life, or how you inspired me, or what I got out of the book, or I'm excited to finally meet you. And you always want to give your people, your fans, or people who are interested in becoming your fans, excuse me, I'm sorry, an opportunity to connect with you on a human level, right? It solidifies the connection that they'll have through reading your book. Okay. And you never want that to be interrupted or distracted. So you need at least one other person that can get the books to help move the line, take the payments, answer quick questions for people. So that's one of the things, is always have a support person. Number two, pre-sign as many books as possible. Meaning sometimes I just sign my name in a lot of books before we get there so the line can move. And then all I have to fill in is use the same pen or same type of pen and put to such and such if you're going to personalize it. To such and such. So I pre-sign the books, okay, to save time. And then all I have to do is write in to blank, okay. Because I write a pretty lengthy message. I won't say lengthy, but it's more than just to this, stay strong. It's usually a few words. So I pre-sign the books. Then here's the other thing that's important. When you're traveling, right? Because this is pretty easy to do if you're local in the city or town where you live. However, when you travel, it becomes more difficult. So here's some tips about traveling. So number one, you want to find out if the location where you'll be setting up has a delivery service. If it's a hotel, usually a hotel can accept it for you. If it's something like a conference center, they do accept them, but there's often a fee. Even some hotels have fees. There's often a fee, particularly if you're doing a lot of books. So the number of books matters. Okay, the number of books matters. You always want to be prepared to sell about 2 to 5% of the audience, right? So if it's 100 people, 2 to 5% of 100 people is, 5 to 10 books. Okay? Excuse me, 2 to 10 books. Excuse me. Oh my God, I can't even count. 2 to 5 books for 5%. As y'all can tell, I did not major in math. Okay. So 2 to 5% is generally what you're going to sell. I always bring enough books for about 10% just to be on the safe side, because we do have people that buy several books for friends and family. And you'll also have where the conference or event that you're attending might buy books. Some speakers have it set up so that they say, hey, I'm going to bring this number of books, and anything that I don't sell, you have to buy. But that has to be in your contract beforehand. Most people don't like that. They don't like being on the hook for a certain number of books. But I've seen that done. Okay. So back to the books. So there is a possibility, again, for you to ship it to the hotel, the conference center, or the church, or wherever it is that you're speaking. But they need to have a process in place to actually receive the books and make sure that you can get to them. Okay? So you always want to ask about that process and procedure. And then, of course, what is your setup time? You need to know what time you can come in to set your stuff up. Okay? And if that's going to be, signage, pop-up banner, books, photo shoot section, some people bring their own ring lights and stuff like that. So you also always want to know what's your setup time, okay? And then the breaking down process. You have to have enough time after things are over to break everything down, and you need to have a plan for shipping any leftover books and things like that back. So let's talk about what all you ship, okay? Generally, you're not going to just ship the books. A lot of times you have to ship a banner stand. Now, I tend to buy the banner stands that come in the long package satchel. So it has a strap on it that you can throw over your shoulder, and you can take that with you. And you can also check that under the plane, but it is extra fee for baggage. So a lot of people tend to do that. I ship everything. I ship the books, I ship the banner stand, and there are companies that do that. You can do it via UPS, but I would ship everything. The books, pens, flyers, giveaways, any of that other stuff, I ship everything, because a lot of times when you're traveling, it take everything. You got to get your clothes, ship your clothes, your makeup, your shoes, your purse, your laptop. You trying to manage all of that. So I tend to ship all the materials affiliated with anything I'm set up, table skirts, all of those things. So make sure all of that stuff gets shipped, make sure it gets packed and shipped back, and make sure that you have tracking information for all of it. Let's talk about lead time, okay? You need to have things so that they arrive at least 2 days before you need them. That way, the case, thank you, Nayana, the case for the travel, for the banner stand. You need the case. You need at least 2 days lead time. So you want it to arrive 2 to 3 days before it's supposed to be there, because these shipping companies never get things there when they're supposed to. So you're trying to get it there the day before and the day of. And they always are late. And if they're late, guess what? You still have wiggle room. They generally are not going to be more than a couple of days late. Okay? They're generally not going to be more than a couple of days late. If you're traveling somewhere else, a lot of you guys are members of Facebook communities. You want to, if you can't afford to have people travel with you, right? And that's something that you can negotiate if it's as part of your speaker's fee if you want to. But let's just say you're not being paid for this and you're just going to exhibit or be a vendor. Then you want to reach out to one of the Facebook communities and say, hey, is there anyone that can support me in ABC city? I'll be there these dates. Tell them how long, what they need, and then see how you can maybe support them in return. Sometimes it's compensation for a few hours of work. Sometimes you can do an exchange, barter for some services. Or sometimes when they come to your city, you say, okay, whenever you come to my city, I'll be that support person for you. So there's so many different ways to do it. And this is also why it's super important to establish relationships when you're in these social media communities or online communities, because you never know when you need to extend support someplace else, or you need to have support extended to you. Okay, so I hope this helps. I will do a whole different video on a whole different day about just when you set up an exhibit, everything that you need to have for a setup and an exhibit, because that can be kind of long. You know what? Let me just tell you right now. That way I don't have to remember to circle back. So this is the bonus section that I didn't actually plan to have as a bonus. Okay, so why y'all ain't hear I had something on my lip? I got toothpaste on the lip. Ain't nobody said nothing. Okay, good morning. Anyway, so, and I guess it don't want to come off in front of company. This is what happens when you do live, honey. If it ain't perfect, honey, we gonna know. Anyway, let's talk about what you need on your actual table. Okay, let's talk about that. So the first thing I always tell people is you want a table cover, or what we call a table skirt. It's basically a tablecloth that has your branding on it. Okay, a tablecloth that has your brand on it, because you want people to be able to see you from a distance. Now, most places, hotels, convention centers, things like that, they come with a standard black skirt or black tablecloth. If you're at a hotel, you can definitely ask for one if you don't see one, but most of them come standard. If you don't have that, don't try to stress yourself to get one, but that's what you want. Okay, table skirt. 2, you need some sort of banner stand, okay, or table topper. For book signings, if I'm traveling, I definitely like the table topper. It's just where the base sits on the table, and it's probably about maybe 4 feet tall. I like that one when I'm traveling. When I'm local and I can put it in my car, there is the floor model banner stand. And I like these because they're so easy to transport. You don't have to be She-Hulk or He-Hulk to carry these things. All right, so definitely a banner stand that says who you, and on the banner stand, it should have your logo or your name, right? A photograph of you. This is why it's important to have those high resolution photos. Okay. And also, it should have how people can contact you. Don't put too much information on it, because it can be information overload. But what you definitely want to have on there is a web address or social media, or both. Okay. At the very least, your web address and social media, so people can connect with you beyond that interaction. All right. And you always want to have business cards. Now, here's what I don't do. Let me tell you what type of business cards. I have what's called social media cards. They're different from my business cards, because people will absolutely get your email address and start emailing you and calling you and soliciting you for what they feel that they want you to do. Okay. And nobody wants to be harassed and bombarded with people that they don't know. So I simply have a social media card. And all it has is how they can get in touch with me on social media. And for email address, it actually just has a URL where they can go to my website and fill out a contact form. So it's like jstone.com/contact. That's where you want to go if you want to send me an email, because that email goes to my support team, and they can look at it and filter it and determine how we're going to respond, versus somebody sending me or my assistant direct emails. Okay. Because a lot of people use that as an opportunity to say, hey, I want you on my podcast, which is great. You know, I want media coverage. But some people are just soliciting, like, can you buy this, or can you give me something for free, or can you do that? No, you know, so that's a way to weed it out when we talk about business cards. For service-based businesses, if you have a flyer for something that you want to promote, a service, a product, those kinds of things. Then you could always pass out a flyer It's always good to have something to draw people to your table. So a lot of people do like candy, giveaways, things like that. That's really important. If you have a table sign, like some people put a little table sign up there where there's either a text to subscribe. I love to have a text to subscribe flyer that's the size of an 8.5 by 11, and it just says, for this free gift, text to this number. Okay. And when you text to that number, it actually adds people to the email list so they can get like a PDF or something like that that's free. Okay, that's how you can build your email list. I actually don't like having a sign up sheet, but you can still do that. Just because people don't want to take the time to do it, you got to try to read their handwriting later. You got to try to type it in. I don't want to do that. Okay. So what I do is text to subscribe, or you can have a tablet or iPad where somebody can fill it out, fill their information out. The thing about that is you miss people because they, don't want to take the time right now. They don't want to stand in line to do it. They got to run to the bathroom and will come right back, and then they never come right back. With the text to subscribe, it's like, okay, it happens right there in the moment. And what I tell people is, hey, go ahead and text now. Text this right now. Let me make sure you got your email. Check your spam. But I have them do all of that so that I can ensure that not only that they're on the list, but they also got the free gift right away. Because later on they be like, I ain't never get nothing, and it's sitting right there in their spam. Okay. And then of course you always want to have things where, pens where you can sign the book, and that's it. So let me just recap what I feel like you have to have. You have to have a table skirt, a table topper banner stand or a floor model banner stand, some sort of text to subscribe or way to collect email addresses. And you want to have some way that people can stay connected to you, including, I would say, social media cards instead of just business cards. And then whatever you're going to use to attract traffic to your location, whether it's candy, food, samples, giveaway, a raffle, anything like that. You have to have a way, particularly when it's a big venue and you got a lot of vendors. Why would somebody come to your table versus everybody else's table? Okay. And then I do want to talk, Chantrice, I heard you say that you were going to sit on a panel. If you know the number of your booth or your stall, I will make sure I find a way to weave it into one of my responses from the panel. Like, actually such and such and such, I actually wrote a book, about this situation. Visit me at stall 123, in the vendor hall. And blah, blah, blah. Find a way for people to find you. Okay. Or say, hey, look for me. I'm the one in the red tutu on Hot Wheels. Look for me. Give people a way to look for you or find you if it's a big event, right? Especially if you got the opportunity to have a stage, to be on stage. Look for a way to tell people where you're going to be. All right. So that being said, I am going to go get busy, and I hope that this was helpful to you guys, and we'll catch you on the flip side.